What's up, everyone? Welcome to Birds Deep. This is a victorious Birds Deep. As you know by now, Birds fans, the Eagles are on their way to the Super Bowl. I'm the Godfrey, TheEGodFrey, and me and my man over here, Gene, tell him who you are.
I'm mean! Woo! Gene. How you feeling, my guy?
Cool. Feeling good.
Hey, my
Feeling
guy.
good. Can't complain. February, we're closer to spring. And Super Bowl's around the corner, and the Eagles are in it. So really have no complaints. Everything went well. So how about you?
I don't know, man. I'm actually frustrated. I'm mad. I'm angry.
Okay. See if we can get some of that angst out today here on Birds Deep. We're going to give our grades out. We're going to talk about 49ers Eagles. Not going to get too deep into the Super Bowl because we got a couple weeks till the next game. But we got plenty on the plate to serve you. And then if you want to go and extrapolate out past Eagles, you could join us next hour for pregame and pigskin. So,
My man loves the word extrapolate.
extrapolate.
That's your favorite word, bro. I
Yeah.
don't know a person on this planet that uses the word extrapolate more than TheEGodFrey.
Sometimes you have to matriculate the words down the field. That was a Hank
I like
Stram.
it. You didn't ask me why I was angry. I don't know
Why
why
are you
you
angry?
asked me why
You
I'm
shouldn't
angry.
be angry.
I'm angry is the reason I'm angry.
Okay.
I'm
Why?
angry.
You just angry?
No, I'm angry because I am so sick and tired. I said this was going to happen, Godfrey. I said it was going to happen. I said the Eagles will win, and the massive media and fan base and all these haters online would find another reason to discredit our win. And it just like sure as shit just happened, just like I said it would.
Yeah.
I said, if we need the 49ers, undefeated Brock Purdy. Bro, I remember it all goes all the way back to week 5, right? Or 6, when we beat Cooper Rush. And he was like 4-0 or 5-0 as a starter. And we beat him.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
forgot he existed.
but that's the point. He was the next big thing. He was going to take Dak Prescott's job, and he'd be a better fit for the Cowboys, and he helps them win more. And then we beat him, and
Beat the
we beat a
Bengals?
back quarterback. He stinks.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it. It happens every week. The Giants are on a roll, and they're getting hot at the right time. And this reminds you of the Super Bowl run. And Danny Dimes is a top 10 quarterback. And we kick the shit out of them, and they're just the Giants. The 49ers have the best defense in football. Brock Purdy's undefeated. They got Nick Bosa, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, McCaffrey, Trent Williams. And then we kick the shit out of him, and then it's, oh, well, you hurt Purdy. Oh,
Yeah.
you hurt the quarterback. Maybe I'm nuts. And I know I'm a little early from one of my rants, but maybe I'm nuts. I thought they paid hundreds of millions of dollars to protect the quarterback.
Oh, the Niners?
And everybody, every team in the league, you pay. Like, just go down the line. Trent Williams has a $100 million contract.
Mm-hmm.
$100 million contract to play left tackle in the NFL.
One of the richest babies out there.
But like the point I keep running into, maybe it's just me being angry. I'm an angry guy. I don't know. But I'm tired of the Eagles didn't impress me. Jalen Hurts didn't look that good. And yeah, I'll get to that. Okay. With our quarterback not looking that good, we beat the number 1 defense 31-7. But they hurt the quarterback. Yeah. That's their job, to protect the quarterback. That's the job of the offense. Listen, the offensive line, and this wasn't even the offensive line when Purdy got hurt. It was tight end 2.
Tyler
And
Croft.
Laura Croft out there.
Laura Croft, yeah.
Tomb Raider,
He did play like Laura Croft. He did play like Laura Croft. Tomb Raider. She might have had a better shot. I mean,
you can't have Tyler Croft. It's trying to stick the should be defensive player of the year, Hassan Reddick.
I said, the Eagles set the tone on the first possession, and they hit Fred Warner right in the mouth. Right in the mouth. They set the tone.
This is my house.
They were like, "Yo," and, I heard later on from a couple sources, they had a little Baltimore material, and, Darius Slay is good for getting Baltimore material and pumping up the guys. He's really good at that. People don't notice, and it was the George Kittle interview. I don't really think George Kittle was trying to talk trash, but, it was kind of arrogant in a low key way how he said it, and it motivated him and said, "On paper, they look tough," you know? I was like, "Alright, that was enough," and just the Eagles, I think, feel like people are been doubting them the whole time, and really, they dominated. It could have been Joe Montana in his best year ever, and they weren't winning that game. I don't care what anybody says. You know, Injuries happen. Your coach is supposed to be prepared with a backup plan. Part of the reason the Eagles, I believe, have Jalen Hurts is if you go back to the Eagles' loss against the Seahawks, they had Josh McCown. They could have potentially tied that game. People don't remember at the end of the game, but Josh McCown was so old and broken, his hamstring was busted. He couldn't even run into a wide open hole in the end zone that was 5 yards out. And then they drafted Jalen Hurts because
That's a
I
little
felt.
extreme. It was like the
Listen, this is that was
21-yard
just my take on it. I felt like that was the backup plan. They didn't know he was gonna be who he is right now. I didn't think so. I think they wanted someone that was more athletic. They, in San Francisco, didn't really have a plan, and guess what? It didn't even matter. It just didn't matter. That is part of the game. Being prepared, being a good coach, being prepared to challenge things, being prepared to have a different scenario unfold, and you have to go with plan B. Eagles were the better prepared, better team. And what people just didn't wanna realize is you're asking a rookie quarterback to go on the road, and this was the best team he has played all year, and be the first quarterback ever to take his team to a Super Bowl that was a rookie. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind that the Eagles were gonna win. You could say because I'm doing the Eagles podcast, I'm saying that. If you listen to the podcast, I've picked them to lose many times. Um, I didn't think Jalen Hurts would become the guy he has, so I have no problem going against what my team is doing, and I'll tell you that I had no qualms because I saw the 49ers for who they were. Everybody loves the new shiny thing, and I watch a lot of football, and Brock Purdy is who Brock Purdy is. I did say that Shanahan will be good with a backup. He puts them in decent good positions, high percentage plays, a lot of motion, but guess what? He didn't in the big game, and that's the knock on Kyle Shanahan, and on top of that, Brock Purdy had played cupcakes all the way up to the end of the season, including all the way up to the Eagles. That was the best.
See, when you do
The
that,
the
God,
Cowboys weren't cupcakes, though.
when you do that, you do the same thing that this media does to us, and I don't agree with that. You play NFL teams or NFL football teams. You play who's in front of you, and I'll tell you this, right? The margin of victory for the Philadelphia Eagles in this playoff so far has been 38-7, which is 31 points, and 31-7, which is 24 points. That's a
Mhm.
plus 55. That's the second highest in NFL history in
Pretty good.
margin for a number one seed, margin of
So,
victory.
but here's the difference, and I'm glad you brought that up, why I felt so confident about it. And, here's the difference, and we're gonna extrapolate here. I know you love that word, of why it's different in the Eagles situation as far as who they played. When we were talking about the Dallas game the week before, we felt that was gonna be the biggest challenge because of the defense on that side of the ball. And they were in that game the whole time. We're analyzing the game of being fair. 49ers won. Dak Prescott didn't do him any favors. That was his biggest test. Brock Purdy didn't really have a bad game, didn't have a great game. It was vanilla. He didn't throw any picks, no touchdowns, close game. And I felt this was the best D line he was going to face all year long. And that's what I'm going off of. You look at defensive lines that he faced all the way since he came in the Dolphins game. He did not face any defensive line that had this caliber of a pass rush. He didn't. And, you know, and what you talked about before, I mean, you're dead on with that. Like, the Eagles, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought, but you're dead on with what you were saying before. But, that's where I'm treating it a little bit differently. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. So, here's the difference between the Eagles offense and the 49ers offense. Both of them have played from ahead a lot in the season. The Eagles have the tools to go deep on the outside and have a more in-depth offense than the 49ers do. The 49ers do not have the ability to come back from 2 touchdowns. I have never seen it from them all season. Brock Purdy's not gonna do it with them, and I knew if the Eagles got up, they were in trouble.
Look, as I watched that game, I was watching it like I was breaking down film. Shane Steichen deserves a gold medal. Let's get into our grades because I can't wait to talk about what I feel like was the key to the game. The reason the Eagles pulled away in this one.
I'm gonna go quarterback
Who do you
first,
wanna start
offense,
with
defense.
first? Who do you wanna start with?
Let's go defense first. Go with the D.
Okay. So, the defense deserves an A, not an A plus. They did allow a backup quarterback to score a touchdown on them. Um, but I'm I'm a tough grader. But they deserve an A. They, knocked out 2 quarterbacks. This isn't an A plus. It's gotta be an A plus. I'm changing my vote. I'm giving them an A plus. You knock 2 quarterbacks out of the game. You shut down the highest scoring offense in the NFL for the last 10 weeks of the season. And yeah, it's an A plus effort. Jonathan Gannon dominated again. I seen a question on Twitter, and I think it was hilarious that they talked about this where is this the play where Purdy gets hurt? Yeah, it is. Oh no, this is where Josh Johnson gets hurt.
Oh, if there's Purdy in
Oh,
there.
I'm wrong. Beginning of the game. But the point that I'm trying to make is the Philadelphia Eagles dominated on the defensive side of the ball. And I don't know what they were thinking by lining up backup tight ends versus Hassan Reddick. That's the play where Purdy gets hurt. That's a fumble. And I wish the referees didn't stop the play because Linval Joseph rolling.
Yeah, he
Bang.
was, and what alertness though for him to pick it up and continue with the play because if they didn't, that would be ruled it would be a non-play, right? They wouldn't give him the fumble if no one actually recovered the ball and the NFL or a
Correct.
referee picked it up. So,
Correct.
the team was prepared, and I wish he kept running, but I'm not sure if they blew the whistle, the play's dead anyway, so if he kept running, would they count it as a touchdown?
No,
I'm not
it
sure.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They blew the whistle. That the play's dead there. So it's just a clear recovery, and that was that. I understand why they thought it was a complete pass. The ball went 15 yards downfield. I get that. I understand that. But
We ripped
Mike,
basically, Sam Reddick, ripped his
I'm
UCL.
I'm gonna do to Mike what I always do to him. I'm gonna send him a TikTok video, which I know he hates. I'm gonna ask him to play it on the show when we get to the offensive version. And I do this way too much, way too late. And Mike deserves all the credit in the world because he's like a god. But it'll break down the entire film study, and it's. I called this during the game. I was sitting right next to my guy Jacob, and we were watching the game. It was embarrassing. It was just literally just uh, grade A coaching. You could play it with sound, Mike, or without sound, and that's okay. It doesn't matter either way. I can break it down the sound because I broke this down in my own film study. Yet somebody put it to pen and paper, and I think they did a great job. But
Mhm. That D was ready.
when
I mean, if you look at the players are the ones that got Nick Sirianni to throw the flag to get that ruled as a fumble. They were on it. They knew. And, again, that's another sign of a team that's prepared and they're ready for the moment.
so who's your grade for
Oh, it's a
Sirianni? I mean, for Gannon in defense.
it's an A plus. I mean, I that touchdown happened very sloppy form by Mike Epps on that. That should have been a tackle for a loss when you look at the play. You
Epps,
know,
Slay, everybody
yeah.
missed the tackle on that one.
Let's
That
just
was a
throw
bad
our
play.
bodies like we have no arms and not try to wrap a tackler up. It's not like Christian McCaffrey's Derrick Henry. So he he's not known for blowing people up. So only mistake I saw, but listen, other than that, I can't complain. Eagles were on them. They were ferocious. They played them, and they got to the weakness right away, which is a Kyle Shanahan in-game adjustments. So and you saw it play out the rest of the game.
Well, by the way, and speaking of in-game adjustments, we'll get to this when we get to the offense, but we'll wait. We'll save that video for the end of the grading system because I want to go last when it comes to Sirianni and Steichen. Let's do Jalen Hurts next. I will give him a C plus. It's obvious Jalen's still hurting. He missed a lot of throws. He, as far as a quarterback goes, he didn't play a great game at the quarterback position. Yes, it was the number one defense in the NFL. But the first drive, which you're about to see, was an A plus. The Eagles looked great on that first drive, but after that, their offense was primarily on the run game. This is a 3rd and 8 underthrown ball that AJ Brown picks up from the dirt. You're going to see on the 4th and 3. That's right here. So Jalen Hurts rolls out and Devontae Smith makes a ridiculous catch. And I'll say catch because that's what it was ruled. Now, for those idiots on the internet, morons that are saying that the play should have been stopped, look what Devontae Smith is doing. He's pounding his hands, letting the Eagles know offense, get up quick, get up quick, get up quick, because he knew the ball bobbled underneath him. Kyle Shanahan's job is to understand what happened and throw a challenge flag. He did not do that. It's not the ref's job to see that underneath his body. That's why they have challenge flags. And if you look at the roll when he rolled, the ball was to the inside, the ref's to the outside. There's no way he could have seen that. It's like an absolute joke. Like there's too many dumb people that watch football. Like watching football should be like voting. You can't do it unless you know what the hell you're doing.
5% of the country would only be able to vote. But
Fine.
yeah,
Let the
yeah,
5% of people that aren't idiots vote.
I agree. There's a lot of people crying about that, and listen, that happens all the time. And here's the thing that bothers me about it: human error is part of the game. Do we want the officiating to be better and to be more perfect? Absolutely. But anybody who is a fan of a team is lying to themselves if you're not going to say you wouldn't be justifying that. We're not saying it was a catch. We're just saying that's how it
I'd say
played
it was a
out.
catch. It's a catch, Godfrey. What's it
Well,
ruled
it's a
at?
catch on the it's a catch on a stat sheet. They ruled it a catch. But what I'm trying to say is, when you're looking at the play objectively, we're not like, oh no, listen, that happens in the NFL all the time. I mean, it was not nearly as bad as the Bengals Chiefs game as far as officiating. And that's something where you have the tools to challenge it as a team. And kudos to Devontae Smith. He
The
knew.
worst call of the game was against the Eagles. The worst call of the game was against the Eagles. How in the world did you not see that ball hit that wire? Are you for
Yeah.
real? That set up their only touchdown in the game. The worst
Yep.
call of the game was against the Eagles. Period.
Yeah.
They even reviewed that and got it wrong. Like we have no definitive. The ball took a left turn. It took a left turn. How did you
They
not know
couldn't
that?
they couldn't find any, what is amazing to me is they said they couldn't find any film or the angle for it. You don't have an overhead stadium and it can't I don't know. I guarantee if you look at the coach's film on the NFL app, you could definitely see that play and you'll see it take a weird turn because it hit a wire. The wire is supposed
I
to be
seen
that
it
thin so it's
on the
not
replay
visible.
through Fox. I saw it
Yeah.
through the replay through Fox. The ball changes trajectory. I can tell you when it hits the wire.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
But Godfrey, what would you give Jalen Hurts?
I was about a C plus. He did look rusty. I was expecting AJ Brown to burn Javarius Ward, which he did, but they weren't able to capitalize on it because not AJ, I'm sorry, Jalen was off on his timing. Uh, he's probably a little sore, maybe trying to get his timing back. I'm with you on the same grade. C plus, is pretty much there. I mean, I would like to see him pass more. It's a little bit different of offense he's facing, and they started to run the ball, so they took it out of his hands. But you know, there are some passes that were like he would like to have him back, and you could tell he would like to have him back. So good to work that out now, and great that there's 2 weeks to heal up because that's the only part of the game I really didn't like. He wasn't too sharp as a passer, and there's something going on mechanically there.
I mean, his shoulders hurt. Still obvious. So obvious he wasn't 100%. You can see the way he was moving, even on his run plays. I give him a C plus though. I think he'll be better for the Super Bowl. I think they'll get him juiced up. I think it'll be in a warm climate. Won't be in cold weather. I think he'll look better.
I mean, they didn't really church up his injury like they did with Patrick Mahomes in the other game. "Oh my god, I
Oh,
can't believe he can even walk."
don't get me
Like
started.
it was like listening to WWE. Look, that high ankle sprain my ass. That's all. He sprained ankle, but not high ankle sprain. There's a big difference. And Jalen Hurts, they barely talk about the shoulder. They did talk about it. It's a totally different tone when they talk about his injury. That's all I know.
Yeah. I want to get into the offense. I want to get into Nick Sirianni and the offensive game plan because I think it's so good. Alfred, what would you give the offensive game plan in Nick Sirianni?
I'll give him an A plus. And the reason why is because, all you heard all week, you can't run on the 49ers. I didn't think they were going to run as well as they did. They stuck with it. They didn't abandon the run because they didn't have early success in the form of a lot of yards, but they had success in converting fourth downs. They've had success in, moving the ball. I was seeing some breakdowns online. They were blocking well and pushing the linebackers out of the lane. There was holes that you could have drove trucks through, and they dominated the
God,
trenches. Dominated it.
God, Godfrey, what I'm about to show you, I was calling this out as it was happening. I wish I can grab Jacob, pull him from downstairs, and pull him up here and say, was he not saying this? This is what he was saying. Mike, if you don't mind, can you roll that film? I don't care if it's with sound or without. Just tell me if it's with or without.
Noticed something they exploited throughout the rest of the game. They noticed to the three receiver side, the Niners lined up their strong safety and nickel to the same side, which meant to the weak side, they only had three defenders defending the run to that side. So Bosa almost gets a safety here. He just makes an incredible play, but again, the Eagles going to exploit this. So throughout the second quarter, they start gashing the Niners by getting these three receiver sets and running to the weak side. Here they're in the red zone. You can see they have a three receiver bunch. Again, the nickel, strong safety are lined up to the bunch. The running back is lined up to that side as well, so he could get across the quarterback and run a weak side run. Again, you only have three defenders on that weak side. Then the Eagles are running a center pin and pull with Jason Kelce leading the way, so they add another number to that side, which creates even a bigger disadvantage for the Niners to score a touchdown here.
Pause it
So
right there.
third quarter, Niners finally make their adjustment.
So, what? Let me break this down in my head because they're about to make the adjustment. But if you notice the Philadelphia Eagles, it was like watching Mad, right? If you notice the Philadelphia Eagles look like they were running the same play and then flipping it and running the same play and then flipping it, the Philadelphia Eagles ran the same play 7 out of 9 plays on the drive to score the touchdown right before the half. 7 out of 9 plays, they ran the exact same play. They ran a 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end set on the right side. Having the tight end on the right side or the left side, like the strong side, having the tight end on the strong side made the 49ers put Hufanga on the strong side, who's their best safety tackler. Okay. So what the 49ers were doing was they were playing man-to-man coverage with the safety on the right side or a linebacker, depending on how they did it. They had the safety over top. In that formation that they have right there, they're running a 4-3. So it was essentially setting up the Eagles wide receiver versus the 49ers cornerback, our left tackle, our left guard versus the 49ers right defensive end, wide receiver, and then Will linebacker, weak outside inside linebacker. So by pulling Jason Kelce, that gave you another number. So they're trapping the defensive tackle in with their left guard, and they were pulling Jason Kelce to lead the way on the hole. So essentially, what they were doing is they were lining up strong side, running weak side, and gaining numbers. It's a genius game plan by Shane Steichen to break down the run defense of the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the 49ers made an adjustment. Mike, roll it. 49ers make an
Again, you see
adjustment.
the Eagles in a bunch formation with the running back strong side, so they could run to the weak side. But now they're moving their strong safety Hufanga to the weak side, and they're blitzing him off the edge and having defensive end on that side crash inside, and it works well on this play. See Hufanga come outside, set the edge. Bosa does a nice job of holding his ground and tackling the running back for a short gain. Then the Eagles just on the same drive have an absolutely perfect call for what the Niners are doing. This is just brilliant coaching. So essentially, what they're doing is they're saying, Niners, you're going to add one. All right, we're going to add one too, and we have a quarterback that can run. That's why we have this mathematical advantage. They're going to run that same pin and pull, but they're going to have the running back block Hafanga, and they're going to have Kelsey lead block for Hurts. So it's essentially the same play, but you're doing it with an added blocker and the quarterback as your running back. Great coaching and just brilliant job by the Eagles all around. Early in the
So that part right there was they essentially the 49ers adjusted, right? They moved Hufanga over to the outside. They start diving the defensive end in to protect the interior run, and Hufanga would break on the outside, which would create, and you've seen on that play that 49ers got to stop on the first couple plays they did that. So the Eagles just changed it up, and they just added Hurts as a runner. If you were wondering why Hurts wasn't running the ball at all for the majority of the first half of that game, and then he start running the ball a ton in the second half, it was because of that. They used the extra person that had to stick Miles Sanders as an extra blocker, essentially, because somebody has to account for Miles Sanders on that play. So Hufanga, who moved over to account for Miles Sanders, now has to account for him, and Jalen Hurts is running the football. It was genius play calling for Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni. And I don't know what they seen on film that made them go to that, but they went to that well so often, and they never left that well. They found it, they exploited it, and they used it over and over and over again. And that's next level coaching, and that's why this team's going to the Super Bowl.
Yep. Um, and listen, just because another team is ranked high or does well doesn't mean you can't challenge them, and they impose their will on them in the trenches on both sides of the ball. And the Eagles have the better offensive line. They might not have the best left tackle, which the Niners had, but they have the best right tackle, and they have the best, I think, overall offensive line from end to end when you
You
factor
want to talk
in
about the left tackle, though? Can I talk about the left tackle? You just brought that up. Trent Williams is the higher paid tackle, but do you know the highest grade offensive lineman was in the conference championship?
Jordan
Oh, I got
Mailata.
you. Jordan Mailata. He was the highest grade offensive lineman in the championship games, all four of them. Jordan Mailata was all over the place. And I remember comments that Nick Bosa said when he was asked in the media earlier in the week about Jordan Mailata. Now, the question was very simple. How do you deal with someone that has such a unique background like rugby? Is it you find different challenges for a player that's so big and athletic? He's like, I don't really think he's unique. He's just humongous. Is the response Nick Bosa gave. Well, Nick Bosa got pancaked by Jordan Mailata. Nick Bosa had 0 sacks. He had 1 tackle for loss, and it was on the read option you seen earlier in the game when Hurts almost getting sacked in the end zone. But other than that, he was a non-factor. Philadelphia Eagles did a phenomenal job neutralizing the defensive player of the year. I got to give the credit to the offensive line, give credit to Jeff Stoutland, credit to Nick Sirianni, and most of all, credit to Shane Steichen for putting such a great game plan on film.
And you could take out a very talented pass rusher like a Bosa by running at him, right? Like you can use their aggressiveness against them sometimes if you game plan it correctly. And then a lot of times, they can get in trouble with over pursuing. Now, I don't know if that's the case here in this game plan, but just as an example, Mailata, is a great story, and I hope they do a haka dance before before the Super Bowl. That would be awesome. But you know, it's Trent Williams. There's some post game comments I'm going to play by him real quick. I think they're pretty interesting if you hear him. It's great. This is a direct Trent Williams quote. Um, he's talking about what he's saying during a game. Big baby bitch he was being. I just, I understand you get frustrated as an athlete. Totally get it. You're out there, you're battling it. It's a mano a mano. It's a physical game. But that was just sour grapes toward the end. He knows it, and it's not the first time he's done that. I don't know if people have seen him and Richard Sherman going at it, and he basically punched Richard Sherman in the face. And did Richard provoke him? I don't remember. I don't know. but still,
Of course he did. It's Richard Sherman.
yeah.
I
But
remember the video. What you gonna do? I'm gonna punch you in the face. Well, go ahead. And then he punches him in the face.
whoop,
It was
yeah.
hilarious. It's funny. Trent Williams is a baby, though. Just who he's always been.
Yeah.
From his time in Washington to his time in San Fran.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, you got your ass kicked, and definitely not gonna win Sportsman of the Year. It's just what happened. You know,
Is that
and you
up for
gotta give
NFL
credit.
Man of the Year?
No, he's not. He will not be getting a Walter Payton Award. That's for sure.
No. Okay. Just checking.
Yeah. So yeah, he's not a contender. But hey, listen, man. He take his little baby rattle. Hear that? That's his little baby rattle. Trent with 49ers baby rattle and just go home.
Rubber.
Oh, baby.
He just. I saw that and I was like, that was so
Your
bush league.
soundboard, bro.
It's ridiculous. I don't know, man. I hate that when people do that in the game because at that point I think they're trying to hurt people. To be honest,
Yeah.
and that's ugly.
I mean, even from the play where they pushed Hurts Hufanga pushed Hurts when he was already 2 feet out of bounds. There's a lot of plays in that game where you've seen that. From Fred Warner playing Rock'em Sock'em Robots, punching Kenneth Gainwell, trying to punch the ball out twice after the whistle was blown.
And that's why I heard fans jump the gun on it saying, "Oh, why are they calling it?" No, and the announcers correctly explained why they called that penalty because it went on too long. It's different if it's during while the ball's in play, but after it, it's a cheap shot. There were a lot of cheap shots by the Niners there. I didn't think they were that type of team, but apparently they are. So,
Snow, the answer is yes. Both Hassan Reddick has more sacks than Bosa, including playoffs. That's correct.
Talking about Joey, or are you talking about Nick?
Maybe both
regular
combined.
season. I think he passed him now, but I think during the season he had one less. I think it was
No, but in the playoffs combined.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of the Bosas and frustration, Eagles fans were showing
this is
Seahawks
great.
fans to be the real 12th man. And Joey was showing up for his brother. And we got a clip. We have
This is so
a clip to
great.
share here with you. And
This is so
he was
great.
such an intelligent person the way he came back at this fan. I'm just, I think he's going to be up for the Nobel Peace Prize.
When do the Chargers play this week? Are you Snapchatting your little butt buddies? No, I'm just videoing you. The guy who's not
Pause it. Pause it. So first off, what the Eagles fans have said so far, is Bosa, saying his name. When are you playing this weekend? And Bosa sucks was said by somebody that was further away, and that's okay. Listen, no one said screw you, your wife. No one said we're gonna hurt your family. They're literally heckling him. His response is like the meatball response of all meatball responses. What are you, Snapchatting your little butt buddies? That was his response. While carrying a Bud Light Seltzer. Nothing against Bud Light Seltzer. Nothing against the drink. I indulge in a Bud Light Seltzer once in a while, but I don't act tough with drinking a Bud Light Seltzer.
I'm judging those who drink that.
It's fine. But that's so far what's happened. And it gets worse. This gets worse, okay? So let's continue to roll. Finally, his wife gets him to leave.
How are those fines, Bosa? So can I. Me too. Me too.
So the second part of this video, they ask, how are those fines? Referring to the fines that Joey Bosa got after slamming his helmet on the ground and acting like a baby on the field when his Chargers lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was very notably fined for yelling at the official, taking his helmet off, and saying rude comments to the official. He responds with another meatball-ass comment. They're great because I can afford them. I'm rich and you're a broke bitch. A broke bitch that's at an NFC championship game for tickets that are $800, $1,000, $2,000 a pop. I don't think that guy's broke. Now, I don't think he can afford Joey Bosa's fines. I don't know who he is, but
Let's be real. He was
when
probably someone's broke brother-in-law.
when are you
Getting
ever
him-
going to win an argument with Eagles fans? When are you ever going to win a heckling argument with Eagles fans? You're not going to. I take you all the way back to 2018 when the Eagles were playing the Vikings in the
Go
NFC Championship,
Birds!
where the guy is literally just "Go Birds, go
Find that one, Mike.
Birds." The Vikings fans try to talk reason into him. She's like,
Mike, Google
Karen Vikings fan yelling at him.
Google Go Birds, Minnesota Vikings NFC Championship. I guarantee it's the first thing that shows up.
It's so
So-
funny because it's like one person's trying to argue and talk illogical crap, and the other one's just sitting in her face going, "Go Birds!" It's hilarious.
You know, I know Joey Bosa is not a man of class, and it's not because of even that interaction. So after that game, when he got that flag, people were like, look at the ref, follow him to the sideline and give him a flag. Now, after seeing that interaction, I don't know what was said, but something tells me that Joey Bosa probably went, if these fucking refs suck, blah, blah, blah. And the ref was like, oh, yeah? Here's your flag. Guess what? That's why he probably got the flag, because he's a hothead, okay? And the thing about this is that if as big as he is, now, I don't know if you can tell in the video, he's 280 pounds, 6'5". He's not a small man. Now, they're not being threatening to him. If he was a classy individual, even being a San Diego, oh, here we go. I feel like that needs to be made into like a wind-up toy.
There's a
You know what I
Karen
mean?
like correcting this Eagles fan out front of the stadium, and all he's yelling is "Go Birds!"
If I was like, say that girl, she was my girlfriend, right? In some weird universe, and I was dating this 50-year-old lady. Anyway, I would have been like, let's just don't talk to him. Just keep walking. There's no logic to be had here. This is a losing argument, right? Bosa could have totally disarmed the Eagles fan, but like, listen, man, I hope it's a great game. Yeah, it sucks not being in the playoffs. And the Eagles fan would have been like, would have shut right down because he'd be like, why is he being nice to me? It would have been over. That would have been that. You'd have been like, wow, Joey Bosa's a real cool dude. He could take a ribbing. And that would have been that. But instead, he went high school and basically had his varsity fucking jacket on from high school under his Niners gear he's wearing for his brother. Went full high school douchebag meathead. I felt like I was at the beach in Seaside Heights at Joey's Surf Club circa 2004, hanging around all the gorillas that have all the steroids taken. They're like, what, bro, you're not GTL? Like, he's that dude. And you could tell as he's there with his man bun and he's getting all mad, and to me, man, you could tell he's still fucking chapped about the playoffs. He's pissed, which I give him that for having a competitive edge. But at the same time, man, like these are the NFL fans. I feel like if he was a wrestler, he would be the one wrestler that would actually try to fight someone from real in the stands that was heckling him. Like, wrestling fans say crazy shit or they love you. And, sometimes the wrestlers play into it. You want to talk about people that have to take ribbons. Look at wrestlers, when they're playing the heel and they're bringing the heat on and they're like, some people in the crowd think, I've seen this in action, think it's real. And then like this big 6'9" guy comes out of nowhere out of the crowd and security has to run in on him. But, that's part of the show. And people go to Philly, and I'm not saying some actions are justified, and they're like, wow, I went to Philly. I'm surprised I got heckled. Like me, I'm not spending $2,000 for a ticket in enemy territory, especially if they lose. Fuck that. Like, if you want to do it and someone does it, be my
Not
guest.
even just that, like
Not that
he
Joey
said,
paid, but
like, what kind of comeback is that? Like, well,
your
all
butt
he had to
buddies.
do is just keep walking. Like, that's the worst comeback ever. What are you Snapchatting your butt buddies? Like, is that like literally the comeback? Is that a good comeback? I just don't understand how that was the logic that came to his mind. And even his fiance or wife, I don't know who was standing next to him, was like, come on, Joey, can we please go?
He
And
has
what's
no
even
sense of
funnier,
humor.
what's even funnier is during the game, Eagles fans found out what box he was sitting in. And they were heckling him. Did you see this? Godfrey?
No, but I'm not surprised.
During the game, they found out what box he was sitting in. And the Eagles score a touchdown, and the Philadelphia Eagles fans weren't even singing the fight song towards the field. They all turned around and start singing "Fly Eagles Fly" at the box, and he's screaming at them from his friggin' box. It's absolutely hilarious how much of a meatball Joey Bosa is. And I'll tell you what, listen. I'm not an Ohio State guy to begin with. Don't like many Ohio State players to begin with. Joey Bosa made it even easier for me not to like him.
Yeah. So the funny thing about the 49ers, and I heard their fans complaining, and people don't really have a frame of reference about behavior of fans because I mean, group of fans that's jumped on are Philly fans. I mean, it's a punchline of movies. I can't tell you how many movies it's been in there where it's the angry Philly fan, right?
I'm
And
proud
so
of that, though.
But I'm okay with that. But the point I'm bringing up is San Francisco 49ers fans do not have a good reputation, my friends. They're just as bad. You can read I see articles from 15 fights happen there. When it's an Oakland Raiders game, it's almost like a
Didn't they
gang
murder a
war.
Raiders fan in the parking lot?
I might have been on the
Five,
way
six
around, but
years
yeah,
back?
something like that happened. Yeah. So the point
Listen,
is that kind of stuff doesn't go down, in Eagles territory. I'm just gonna let you know that right now. For the most part, it's hardcore razzing, but there's not people aren't getting stabbed and shot. I mean, they're not. I mean, and there's a lot of stabbing and shootings in Philadelphia, but I don't see them happen at the Eagles game. That's all I'm gonna say. And there's a lot of drinking. So that tells you the real um moniker for going on. Joey Bush doesn't have any sense of humor. He's basically a giant, right? He could have went up to the guy and smiled at him and twisted his nipple, and the guy wouldn't have knew what was happening. Like literally, he could have given him a purple nurple, and the guy would be like, "It's got my nipple twisted by Joey Bosa," or he could be like, "Listen, dude, I hear you, but I'm gonna go into my warm VIP box. Deuces, you have a nice day." You know what I mean? Like, but buddy, he went complete. He didn't even go high school. He went middle school. Like it was like I thought he was gonna like drop his lunchbox and like his latchkey to the floor and want to throw down. Like it's just hilarious to me. And listen, players will talk crap about Eagles fans, but it's Phillies fans. Like when we got Bryce Harper, we didn't like Bryce Harper, but now that he's one of us, we love him, right? And if you have a fan base like the Eagles and you don't play for the Eagles, you hate them, but when you come here, you love them as a fan base. So it's not because we're bad. You're just mad because you ain't us. And that's the truth. You hate us because you ain't us. And people hate that. And guess what? You know what? They're loyal as shit, man. Eagles fans, like, I'm gonna tell you, even when they sucked for a small period in the 2000s, like maybe 1 or 2 seasons, people start showing up to the game. Season tickets are sold out. They're sold out. You can resell those tickets easily. They're as good as gold in this town. So there's a reason why they're that passionate. And guess what? We're the type of city that we're not gonna tell you behind your back, we don't like you. We're gonna say it to your face.
oh yeah. Let's get in the counterfeit green, Godfrey. We got another show to get into. Wrap up soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, start
Counterfeit
us off. I
green.
know you got a good one.
Can you remind me what mine was? Because it totally slipped my mind for a second. I think I was
You
telling
told
you
me
about
that
this.
you
Go
were
ahead, go
telling
ahead.
me earlier. It was about the people that said we ran Andy Reid out of town.
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. Because
You're welcome.
so
I listen to you when we talk. I
so
cherish our conversations, Godfrey.
thank you very much. Likewise. So the thing is I hear this narrative every now and then when people talk about Philadelphia or a non-Eagles fan says it, and it really pisses me off. I love Andy Reid. Andy Reid helped turn this franchise around. He is one of the best coaches of all time. But I have being an Eagles fan, have an intimate knowledge of Andy Reid. And there were very real reasons why he left. One, when a coach gets fired, they don't get to give a farewell speech to the organization. That actually happened. You can go find it. It's on the internet. I believe it's on YouTube. Um, it was a mutual parting of ways. Andy had different responsibilities here. Okay. He was, I believe, was his title, was he head of player personnel? But he was pretty much the GM, right? When he was here. Uh, after like 2000, Gene. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Um, He's not that same person. He probably has a lot of influence, but there's other people filling those roles in KC. He's coaching more. So as the years went on, Andy was sleeping 4 hours, at the office 20 hours a day, had some family issues. Everybody does. And it was just time for him to go because his performance was lacking and he lost the team in certain aspects. And listen, he was a great coach, a great offensive mind, and he was hired right away, and he deserved to be hired right away. We didn't run him out of town. He
No.
needed to leave because he wore out his welcome and not because we hated Andy Reid. He needed a change. I don't believe he was going to succeed here. He had too much power, too much say. And on the personnel side, he made some great draft picks, but I'm going to tell you that he drafted one, it might have been two defensive Pro Bowlers the whole time he was here. Two. I think it was actually one. Trotter was not a Andy draft pick. That was a Ray Rhodes draft pick. And Ryan Dawkins was also not, a Andy Reid draft pick. So I could go down that list. I remember doing it one day, and that was Jim Johnson was just a wizard. He got what he could out of it, and, we were blessed with Jim Johnson when he was here. Underrated legend outside of Philadelphia, Jim Johnson should have I think he has a statue. If not, he should have one, but, and widely loved. But Andy Reid, listen, that's the counterfeit green. You're gonna hear it coming up on all these troll take stations that wanna take advantage of Eagles fans and wanna farm them because they'll know they'll get a reaction and get some interaction with them. You'll hear them say, "He he, uh, he was run out of town." Can you believe Eagles fans? They might say stupid shit like, "You guys would have Patrick Mahomes instead of Jalen Hurts." You don't fucking know that. You can't say that. That's bullshit. And that's the kinda chicanery you're gonna hear leading up to the Super Bowl. I guarantee someone will talk about it. I'm talking about it here first. We're doing a preemptive strike. We did not run Andy out of town. Andy wore out his welcome, and it was a mutual parting of ways. And I'm 100% correct on this. And I hear people say it all the time in national media that are on ESPN. I'm not even talking about like a TikTok jerk off. I'm talking about real people. And I'm like, you have no fucking clue. And it drives me nuts because that's not what happened, man. Not at all. And people are still grateful. He still has a lot of ties here. He produced Doug Peterson, who got us our first Super Bowl. I mean, if there was that much ill will, that he wouldn't have been going here. Okay. So that he
Yeah.
left with fondness and we
Well,
appreciated what he
kinda
did here.
Godfrey, to kinda add to that, he, they had a cake for him. They
Yeah.
loved him. People were in tears.
Oh
I
my
think what
God.
really and I think Snow hit the nail on the head. I was literally just about to say this. It was the year right after, his son died, and, he went back to work, like, a day later. Didn't even take much off after his son passed away. He needed a fresh start, and so did the Philadelphia Eagles. I think it was mutual. It was 14 years. I think that we all learned from our mistakes, right? I think Doug learned from a few of the mistakes that he made at the end of his time in Philadelphia. I think Andy learned from a few of his mistakes he made at the end of his time in Philadelphia. Um, I think both of them felt like they could just continue to make it work with their own guys. I remember a time where he was like, "Okay, Juan Castillo, he's an offensive line coach. We're
Oh,
gonna make him into a defensive coordinator.
I still
Like
have
we can
nightmares
just
about
do
Kenny
that."
Britt. Yeah.
It's a lot of those things that he learned that, and he got Spags down there, and him and Spags have been together for a while. And it's not just Andy Reid that's a homecoming for the Super Bowl. Greg Lewis is on their coaching staff. Eric Bieniemy used to play here. There's a lot of ties back to the Philadelphia community in Kansas City. Not just one or two. Spags, Reed, Greg Lewis, and Eric Bieniemy. There's more. I think their GM used to be on our personnel staff.
Yep.
But with that being said, is what it is. I'll be quick on my counterfeit green because we got to hop off soon. But my counterfeit green is really simple. You're going to hear in the weeks leading up to the Super Bowl a constant comparison between Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. It's not really a comparison. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. But I'm
True.
tired of the downplaying of what Jalen Hurts is. I heard recently that if Patrick Mahomes was the quarterback at the Eagles and Jalen Hurts was the quarterback of the Chiefs wouldn't have made the playoffs, and the Eagles would be undefeated. I don't agree with that. I don't. I think
Yeah.
that Jalen Hurts constantly gets downplayed in this situation, in this system, and I think it's embarrassing. So I think that it's just frustrating. So my counterfeit green this week is the media constantly downplaying Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles as a team. They're not that impressive. Jalen Hurts wasn't that good. Look, the game is won and lost on the last scrimmage. Them big uglies are handling business.
Yeah. Gene, I'm glad you said that. I'll say this real quick. So people like to cherry pick when they like to compare things to make it work. The Chiefs got beat by the Indianapolis Colts. The Eagles beat the Indianapolis Colts. I remember that specifically. Um, so but you're not going to hear people say, "Well, Eagles should beat them because and there were tough games for both of those teams." Eagles won it at pretty much at the last second, and the Chiefs got beat by an awful team. So I mean, when you try to compare things, you get in trouble. They're different types of quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes is the best, no doubt about it. But I agree with you, man. And people, including myself, a lot of people have been doubting Jalen Hurts for a long time, all the way back to freshman year of Alabama.
Not time to doubt him anymore.
Nope.
Next week, we'll have our Super Bowl preview. We'll be previewing the Super Bowl. We'll be breaking down position by position, giving our Super Bowl predictions. Although I think you can kind of just put two and two together to figure out who we're going to pick to win. I'll tell you right now, we'll get into it a lot more next week. But I think the Philadelphia Eagles are a way better team than the Kansas City Chiefs. I really believe that. And I'm looking forward to next Sunday. It'll be fun. So I appreciate you guys tuning in this week. The Birds Deep. Any final thoughts, Godfrey?
Um, final thought is one big problem we had with Andy when he was here is he never got that superstar receiver. The one year he got it, they went to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs don't have a superstar receiver right now. Some of the offense reminds me of a la Eagles 2006, 2007. Just saying. So putting that out there. We'll talk more about that next week. And if you want to get into that more, you follow us on over to Pregame at Pigskin. And we will talk about the whole NFL, including some Eagles. So with that,
Thanks.
I'm sorry, were you going to say something, Gene?
Oh, just saying thanks for tuning in. Go ahead. Wrap it up.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. As always, let's keep enjoying this ride. And this is the Godfrey and Gene. Not saying goodbye, just saying take it to Birds Deep.